Okay, we're on the air.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the regular open meeting of the Third Laguna Hills Mutual. I would like to call this meeting to order. We have a quorum, and we would now have the Pledge of Allegiance by our wonderful Second Vice President and Director, Bunny Carpenter.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you would, please turn off your cell phones.
Okay, I don't see the media present, so that means that our communications head will have to make sure that things are done correctly. So thank you very much for being here. Could I have a motion? Oh, and I checked with Cheryl, we're electronic today, so let's do our best. Could we have a motion to approve the agenda, please?
I so move.
Second? Okay, Cheryl. It's working.
Good.
Director Frankel, can you vote on your screen, please?
So today, we would have 9 votes because Director Bada is on vacation and Director Connolly is still out ill. But he seems to be getting a little better. Okay, so the motion passes. The next item is to have approval of the minutes. And I didn't ask if we were going to do them together or separately. He's like in a hurry today. He must be very hungry. Okay. Okay. We're having bread and water. Okay, so we have a motion to approve the minutes for May 10th and May 21st. We have a second, please. Reza seconded it. Okay, so please vote. It's noted that I seconded it, which is incorrect, but that's okay, it's no big deal. All right, so the next item is the report of the chair. We are sorry that Director Connolly is still out, and although he suggested that he give in his notice, I asked him not to because if he is better at all, we would like him to attend the meetings until his term is over in September. So we will keep checking on him. The other thing that I have is our elections. The biggest thing for us is our elections are coming up. So I would like Eileen Paulin, please, I was going to say our chief of security, but she isn't, our chief of communications, to come up and speak to this. Good morning, Eileen.
Good morning. Trust me, you would prefer to have Tim in charge of security. Good morning, everyone, and everyone out there in viewer land. We are holding a reception for anyone interested in running for the third board. And I'm giving this invitation. This is on behalf of all of you on the diocese. It's really not a staff invitation. It's an invitation from your leadership. June 27th, here in the boardroom at 4 o'clock, we are going to be holding an informational meet and greet reception with your esteemed members of the board, so that anyone who's interested in becoming involved in leadership here in the community can come and learn more about what that means, what the commitment is, and what their personal experiences have been doing that. So we'll take a look at the PowerPoint presentation that we did at the chain of command meeting last year, which showed all of the accomplishments that the board did in a 12-month period, and offer the opportunity for people to just meet one-on-one and also to answer some questions. So we want to make sure that everyone out there everyone here knows that you're more than welcome to attend.
I'm
Next.
sorry, it's next Thursday at 4:30
27.
in this,
It's at
yeah.
4.
Not this room. I
Yeah.
mean, not this Thursday, the following
following
Thursday, the
Thursday.
27th, and it is in this room. And I believe some of our esteemed leadership is
Yes.
attending. That be,
We will all be here.
right, so you can come if you have questions about the board, about being on the board, about being on a committee, or if you have questions in general. Eileen is doing the cooking, so I'm sure it'll be one.
Which means I'm making reservations,
one-
but anyway.
Yeah.
So it's at 4, Rosemary, just to
At
be
4,
clear.
at 4
Okay?
o'clock.
All right.
Yeah, we had it at 4, so it's.
And if anybody has any questions, they can contact me. My email is very easy. My first name dot last name, Paulin. So Eileen Paulin at dmsinc.org.
Or if they can't get you, they can always call Cheryl,
Right.
because she knows everything. Okay, so those are my comments as report of the chair. So the next thing is open forum. This is where residents are asked to come up if it is referring to something that is not on the agenda. I believe some of you are here because of an item on the agenda. So when we get to that item, you will be able to come up to speak. That's how we have it arranged. So if you would like to speak now in our open forum, Cheryl has your name, so she will call you up.
Okay. Our first speaker is Chris Collins.
And while we're waiting for Chris to come up, generally, we don't get back to you until after all of the speakers have spoken.
Good morning, Chris Collins, 3306Q. I'm here again with an update from the work of the Foundation of Laguna Woods Village on behalf of residents experiencing temporary financial crisis. And today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about fall prevention and the major health problem that it is. 1 in 4 Americans age 65 and over fall each year, according to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Further, every 11 seconds, an older adult is treated in an emergency room for a fall. Falls are the key cause of fatal injury and most common cause of hospital admissions among senior citizens. And costs related to falls are also staggering. The experience here in Laguna Woods is no different. A recent review of ambulance calls to Saddleback Medical Center involving village residents during the past 4 months revealed that 1 in 2 were the result of a fall. Given the potential problems related to such falls, the foundation decided to partner with Social Services Department and the Memorial Care Saddleback Medical Center to implement a fall prevention program in the village this year. This will be a pilot project designed to increase resident awareness of fall prevention and increase the availability of fall prevention services. This pilot project, which will include 4 class series, which are comprised of 8 progressive classes. Each class focuses on different aspects of fall prevention, including such topics as sit-to-stand instruction, dynamic standing exercises, and fall recovery. So for more information about this new program or effort or continuing program to provide medical alerts for fall-prone individuals with limited financial means, please contact Social Services at 949-597-4267 or the Foundation at 949-268-2246. Or you can always contact us online at thefoundation@comline.com. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chris.
Our next speaker is Joel Lesser.
Are you a dance team?
Only if you want us to.
Okay, well, it might
Only
be
when there's
interesting.
good music playing, yes.
I'm Sue Lesser, the other.
Okay, good morning, Joel and Sue.
Thank you.
Good morning. Well, my name is Joel, this is Sue, and right now we reside in 3371 Punta Alta, apartment 1E. And we were having an issue with smoking coming from above, the neighbor above, and it was pervasive. Well, at any rate, we came here, we got in touch with compliance, and the results that we received were just mixed. It was more of a corporate feeling to it. Well, there was no triage saying that this is severe. It was severe. People upstairs are habitual chain smokers, and it's permeating everything. And they left the windows open, and it was just reeking in our place, and it was unlivable. So we took the approach, and we went to compliance where we thought we should be. And as I said, we got a corporate line. And I was really irate, and the director of communications who just spoke before heard this, interceded, and got me in touch with Tim, the man in charge of security. There we got some action, and he said that, he had one of his people come and review the situation, and he said, really, it is quite unlivable. And things have improved, but the point that I've come here to make is the policy needs to be looked at. And the policy here is that every time you go to compliance, you get basically the corporate line. And I think that the policy needs to be changed based on the severity of whatever is happening. In other words, this is something where it's unlivable, you're breathing in secondhand smoke, that it needs to be more remedial and handled quicker than saying, get me this, get me that. It's just too iterative of a process, and it takes too long, and I think you really are impacting health, and especially people of our age, where some of the people are more compromised than others. So that's basically what we came here to say, is that the policy on how compliance handles things needs to be updated based on what the situation is. It's not like we were talking about a toilet that wasn't flushing well. The neighbor across has got lung cancer, and it's really...
And has complained also and gotten nowhere.
Okay, and your time is almost up. We
Okay.
thank you very much for your comment, and when we're finished with all the comments, I'm sure Steve will have something to say.
Perfect.
Well, thank you. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Or I
Appreciate
will.
it.
Or you will.
Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker is Nancy Foster.
Good morning, Nancy.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Nancy Foster, and I reside at 5519 Paseo del Lago East, number 1A. We have an urgent problem in our building at 5519 Paseo del Lago East as it pertains to safety, sanitation, and loss of personal property. For the past month or so, our underground garage and guest parking area have been under constant attack by a family of Egyptian geese. They enter the garage of our building and defecate on our cars and on the ground in our parking lot. If we move our cars to guest parking, they also hop from car to car doing the same. Laguna Woods has already had to bring equipment in to clean our garage 3 times this month. These cleanings are only effective for a period of 1 or 2 days. Meanwhile, our cars are being damaged. The droppings are highly acidic and can eat through the paint if not removed immediately. The droppings have already stained the concrete in the garage. This is costly and highly inconvenient for all concerned, as we have to take our cars immediately to the car wash. It is a safety hazard as people can slip and fall on the droppings on the concrete floor. My husband is disabled and can barely walk with his walker to the car. It's only a matter of time before he falls. Resident Services has turned their back on us and referred us to the Animal Control Services, who have done the same because the geese are protected. We are requesting that a gate be placed at the rear entrance to our garage, as this seems to be their main entry point from the par 3 golf course. We are also requesting that the board take action to have these geese relocated from Laguna Woods. We too have rights to be safe and protected in the village and live peacefully. It is absurd to think of a protective animal causing all of this stress, hardship, and expense on a senior citizen. None of us can afford $100 to $200 monthly expense at the car wash. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nancy.
Okay, that concludes our speakers on open forum.
Okay, so Nancy, I'll do that one. And Nancy, we did get the information from you, and I passed it along immediately to our COO and CEO. I wouldn't have, so would you have anything that you would like to say? I'm looking at both of you.
Good morning. We have been investigating the situation, and it's apparent that someone is feeding the geese, and we're trying to address it from that end to stop the feeding, which is attracting the geese into the carports.
And I thought we had the name of the feeder. We do. So can we, the only thing that the board could ask is, could we put some speed to this? You know, if we weren't feeding them, they might, leave. Or we don't want to put the feed somewhere else, that isn't nice. But I'm sure that, and thank you for coming here and bringing this to our attention. It has been brought to our attention. As soon as you send something to the board, we immediately turned it over to senior staff. And they act upon it. So then we got the other information. So we have your contact information and we will get back to you. Is that correct? Yes. All right. So, okay. Thank you. Thank you very much for bringing this to our attention. Okay, Steve.
Yeah, first, Chris, on the classes that you mentioned, is there a class size, maximum class size for about falling?
I don't know about that. I don't know about the classes. I just know that since we know this is a problem, and we, on the foundation, have wanted to move into other areas that we could offer services through social services, that we've contacted the hospital, and their PTs, their physical therapists, will be the ones that will be giving the classes. And so there's these series of classes, and they're going to do it 4 times a year.
Okay. Could I suggest that you may do a Breeze article, but also put in there if there's any restrictions to class size?
There was a little article in the Breeze. I really think the biggest thing is having a contact, and like a phone number or something that gets out there again, so that people could call about it, because it is great.
I know that when I was at GRF 2 weeks ago, it came up. There was a comment after having presented this, and the comment was, well, how can this, why is this just for people that have financial need? Well, the purview of the foundation of Laguna Woods Village is to offer these services. We've expanded the kinds of things we're helping with low vision care and these safety alerts and all that kind of thing. And so this is just a pilot program, but I do think that it's something that really it's really quite a pervasive need, and so I think that that's really important. We're doing it on a really limited basis.
Okay.
But I do think it's of general interest.
Well, it's a big problem in the village,
Yeah, well, yeah.
balance and falling.
And thank you for bringing that up, Steve, because I didn't realize that you could only go to the class if you have financial need. So the basic, because I'm here only representing the right,
foundation.
okay.
Yeah.
And then this came up at GRF. Certainly, it should be ubiquitous. It should be widespread. It should be, but that's not our purview.
Okay. All right. Well, the thing is that if this is a big need, I'm sure that we'll be able to work with our I'm going to say our energy, our exercise department. Because I know that we offer a lot of circuit training classes, which has to do with your inner core, which has to do with balance. So maybe we just have to do something to make more people aware that these things, how important not falling is, and we have these things available. So we could talk to our communications team also. Thank you very much, Chris.
Okay, Joel? Yes. Okay, on the smoking issue, we can review that with compliance and see how we can update our policy as far as urgency is concerned, things like that. And Chief Moy is here, so we can coordinate with him too, and come through our policy committee and update if necessary. Okay, I understand what you're saying. It's come up before through some other means. I'm not sure if there's different levels of intensity of smoke. It's something we could check out, but
There would be an habitual smoker, and
Yeah.
there would be the occasional smoker, and it would be a different situation, but the habitual smoker,
sure,
creates a situation where it permeates the walls, it
Sure.
seeps through the walls, and it's different than the person who just occasionally smokes, and, at that point,
okay.
Well,
what I found interesting is, we're both from San Francisco.
we're not going to be, we don't hear, the residents who are watching us on television don't hear anything you say, so come up to the microphone. We're interested in what you have to say, but they're just watching your lips move,
Okay.
I think.
It's very interesting because we've just relocated here from San Francisco, and San Francisco's got a you cannot smoke in a building in San Francisco. It's just not allowed. You can't smoke within 20 feet of a building in San Francisco. So we came here and thinking that this is, an older community, people are more compromised, that this would even be more restrictive, and we found this to be far more relaxed, and we were very surprised by that. And we understand that, there are ways to handle this. You could have a smoking section like you do in other places, or you could just eliminate it and say, this is just not good for the total environment. And we were wondering, something should be done. Plus the fact it should be handled differently than just a casual complaint.
And you're absolutely right, because we've tried to work with staff and say, there's some things, you just have to put your arms around it. This isn't like somebody reporting a little bit of clutter, and there's some things that, that take a different type of action. So we have to work with our executive staff to make sure that that is looked at. But I know that other people have brought up smoking issues, so that might be something that we have to look at again for the community. We try to tie things that we do with United, so we have similar policies. But I know that somebody brought up the fact that somebody was smoking on the golf course. And, so we brought that to the
Right.
attention of GRF.
Right.
So I think that there is, as it gets more and more concerned, I see people smoking in the carports which they're not supposed to. So I know that this is something that we constantly work on. And so we will keep working on it.
Yeah, and I think one more thing is that they keep their balcony door wide open, which is against compliance to the new rule that just came with smoking. And their window is wide open. I don't know if they have like a fan holding it or something, or an air, but they can't shut their bedroom window. So it's like you're constantly getting it. And they never leave the house. It's one cigarette after another. I never seen two people. It's like, I told them, I said, go out and enjoy this place. It's wonderful. Do something other than smoking.
Okay.
Get some
Well,
exercise.
We'll look
and
into it.
Thank you for
Right?
bringing this to our attention. Okay. So we thank the residents who are here for their comments, and we will make sure that we work with our staff to make the improvements that we need to make. And so the next thing, I'm looking around at the board to see if anybody, I don't want to stifle anyone, and if anybody has anything to say. Okay, good, we don't, all right. So the next thing is the report from our CEO, Jeff Parker.
Good morning, everybody. Have about 6 items, just wanted to relay information. First one is, as you probably know, gates 1 and 9 reopened. So we're very excited about that. That occurred on Monday. They look really good, and it's certainly helping, again, getting more and more people signed up with the RFID and getting the entrance and exits more secure and safe. So we appreciate that. We will now start on gates 4, 10, and 14. We'll close on Monday, June 24th for the construction on those 3 gates. Again, the expected time frame is approximately 6 weeks. When that occurs, gates 4, 10, and 14, the alternate and adjusted hours, gate 4, gates relative to gate 4, gates 1 and 2 will be open 24/7. Gate 3 open 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. and gate 4 pedestrian access only from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And there'll be no parking on Avenida Seville from Via Los Altos to Paseo de Valencia during the shutdown and construction there. Relative to gate 10, gates 7, 8, and 9, again, will be open 24/7. Gate 10, pedestrian and golf cart access will be open 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. And then regarding gate 14, pedestrian, golf, and vehicle traffic, we'll have that. And then lane restrictions and adjusted speed limits will be in effect for gate 14.
So as there are 3 board members here who live at gate 14, will we be able to drive in and out? Because, because people, we see notices, obviously, that's the only way in and out, so they're just doing traffic adjustments.
Right. Gate 14, pedestrian, golf, and vehicle traffic will be available.
Adjustments?
Yeah.
Right, okay. So don't worry about it, John, you could get here.
Second one, I wanted to mention that we're going to have a reception here at the Community Center Boardroom on June 28th from 2 to 3:30 p.m. to celebrate our Centenarian project that we're doing. The village has launched a project to gather information and contact individuals in the village that have reached that tremendous threshold of reaching 100 years of age. The Village Centenarian Project will display some information, portraits, and a little short video on individuals who have we've been in contact with. So this is really the kickoff. We'd like people to come out and not only see the information, see some of the old photos, but meet some of the individuals in particular who are in that group. We will also take the Village Centenarian Project will be on display in Clubhouse 2 during the 4th of July event, and then during Grandparents' Day in August. So we'll have it in a couple different places, but please enjoy coming down June 28th, 2 to 3:30 here in the Community Center Boardroom. For those individuals who love fitness, we're going to have a Battle of the Fitness Centers Wednesday, July 24th through Friday, August 2nd at Clubhouse 1 in the Community Fitness Center there. So you'll be able to represent the different fitness centers throughout the village. Events at all levels include obstacle course, a 500-meter row, chest press endurance, a 5K stationary bike ride, number of different fitness events. And so if you're interested in that and competing in that, register at the fitness center starting June 5th, which is obviously already going. Participation fee is $15, and you can call our recreation department at 949-597-4284 to help you register that, or you can go on to our email assistant@vmsinc.org to sign up for that. So be healthy and come out and compete. Wanted to mention that Channel 3 Analog, for most of you, this is a dialogue that we've been having for a long. On June 1st, the analog Channel 3 Analog Television Guide is unavailable due to the elimination by the vendor went out of business. That means that a channel guide will no longer be available to those residents that are plugged directly into the wall outlet. And in order to receive that, residents must rent an HD converter through our resident services and our broadband services. And they can contact broadband services at 949-837-2670 as a way of getting the information with regards to that guide and how it would be available. The next one I wanted to bring up was, I think something that's changing throughout the state of California, but being implemented this next process with regards to elections by the Orange County Register of Voters. So they're getting away from polling places and having a election conducted in which they have one location, but they're open for a longer period of time. So it won't be just voting on Tuesday. You'll have a whole week to vote. On Friday, June 21st, at Clubhouse 5 from 10 a.m. to noon, the Orange County Register of Voters will be here to holding a community workshop to discuss how the future polling options in Laguna Woods is going to work. And this, again, is coming from the passage of the California Voters' Choice Act, which was passed a couple of years ago, actually, and is now being implemented by all of the counties throughout the state of California, with the idea of getting more people to the vote, get out and vote for the longer period of time. But it will have an impact here because we're used to having a lot of polling places. And so we'll see how that plays out.
So, like on election day, like when we would vote for the new president, for example, it'd be a week of voting?
Yeah, potentially there'd be a week of voting.
But only in California or other states doing this?
Other states are doing it, but California has kind of been on the leading cutting edge of electoral voting. Yes, it is held in other states too.
So then they can't announce the winner until it'll
Right.
be interesting.
You can go to the polls, they'll collect it all, then they'll still go through the voting process and ballot collection and ballot it, but you'll just have the ballots done earlier, but they won't.
Oh, so
release
it'd be
it.
earlier, because I could just see on the news, all of the votes are in except for in the state of California where they have the whole week. No, it won't.
Ironically, you'll still have the write-in candidates, you'll still have people that are absentee balloting, which is obviously growing
Right.
in California. And then you'll still have people, clearly a great many people that will still go and vote on that Tuesday.
So like we would have election week,
Yeah.
the week
the
before.
Concept.
Right, okay, well, that's interesting. Okay, thank you. See, we all learned something.
So anyhow, that's again at Clubhouse 5, 10 a.m. to noon on Friday, June 21st, if you'd like to get more information about that. Last but not least, just wanted to remind everybody that coming up on the 4th of July, we have our free Independent Day extravaganza at Clubhouse 2, and that is from 4 o'clock to 9 p.m. in the afternoon. We'll have performances at 4 p.m., starting performances at 4 p.m. And so fireworks will be at 8:45, or at least once it gets dark, for sure. And we will have a great event that day. The gates open at 4 p.m. Gate 12 may be used for unloading only beginning at 4 p.m. Early arrival and setup not permitted. Shuttle service will run from Clubhouse 7 and the Community Center to Clubhouse 2, and carpooling is recommended. Seating is not provided. Blankets and lawn chairs are recommended. Glass bottles and containers, dogs and pets are prohibited. And this is sponsored in part by Aetna and Saddleback Emeritus Program. So if you have any other questions, you can call 949-268-2417. And that's my report for today.
Thank you very much. Siobhan, do you have anything? No? Okay. So at this point, we are up to the consent calendar. One of the things that we have done that is different is if somebody has a request and it wasn't approved, it's no longer on the consent calendar. We have it on unfinished business, which gives you an opportunity to come up and talk about it. And this way, we don't have any confusion about it. So do we have a motion to approve the consent calendar? A second? Okay. Okay. So is there any discussion? Roy, are you just holding your finger up? You have your finger up?
Forgot to put it down.
Oh, I didn't know. Okay. You were waving. Okay, so let us vote for the consent calendar. So either yes or no. An important part of the consent calendar is it refers to our statutory obligation regarding reviewing the financials, which this board does on a continual basis. We actually have a finance meeting every month in addition to the review of the financials. Okay, so the motion for the consent calendar passed, and the next item on the agenda is unfinished business. So what we have to do is we'll take them one at a time. We'll need a motion, a second. Wait, I want to organize this.
Okay.
A motion, no,
A1.
wait, no, I'm just going, reviewing what we're going to do. A motion, a second. Generally, we allowed the board to speak to it, but I'm sure on these, there might be a resident who wants to speak to it. So we could have the board say whatever, then the resident can speak, and then you can make further comments, all right? So that's how it will be done. Is that okay? Does that work? All right, so for item unfinished business A1, which is a recommendation to deny 3391B, do I have a motion?
I so move.
Second? Okay, seconded by Annie. All right, is there any discussion by the board?
Just to clarify a little bit about what's going on, for board members, you have a packet in front of you that starts out with staff report. If you would turn to page 8 of 15, it's more clear as to what's being proposed by the resident. This was actually previously extended common area, and they would like to build out onto that, and my understanding is to actually enclose a room. Presently, if you look at page 13 of 15, you can see the existing structure, which is basically a patio cover. And this we looked at as like for like, which meant that you could have another patio cover similar to this. We could help figure out enclosure of windows and things like that. But they would also like to take the entire area and make it a closed-in area. They have another situation that happens with this as it came before the board. When it rains, you can see the tile on the floor of the patio as it is. And it really gets flooded and things like that. So we had suggested that the roof line of the patio extension as is be extended over the wall to get the water on the outside of the patio, which would help. And then other than that, it's going to be member responsibility to make sure drain lines are clean and things like that.
So the primary issue with this, before we let people speak to it, is that per our common area policy, if you have been granted common area in the past, before the policy was in effect, legally in effect, we say you have to maintain that area, but you cannot add to that area.
Or like for like.
Or anything that you do to that area has to be like for like, or pretty close to that. So that has to do with our common area policy. So do we have the residents here for this? Okay, so could you please call them up, Cheryl?
Okay.
And what happens is you can come up, you have 3 minutes to present whatever you would like to present. And then we thank you. If we have any questions, we ask you, and then we'll get back to you. Okay? So please come
Our
up.
first speaker is Ronnie Cantor.
So you're here to speak regarding
I'm here to
3391.
speak to my neighbor.
Okay.
My name is Ronnie Cantor. I live at 3391A, Punta Alta, which is attached to my neighbors. I've been living here 2 years as of July, and I'm very happy here, I might say. I'm neither an architect or an attorney, but from what I see on my neighbor's plan, she's not encroaching on my property, and she's not encroaching beyond the established wall, which is on the common ground grass area. So it just seems to me that she could put in these walls and make a secure patio using her own space. it certainly would not disturb me in the slightest bit to have the construction people there. It would be wonderful, and I think aesthetically it would look quite lovely.
Thank you.
And I want my neighbor to be happy as I am happy here. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker is Lillian Alex.
I'm at 3392 Unit B, and I am here to support my neighbor. The property is already established. The wall, it's surrounded by a wall. They're not asking for any additional space. They want to enclose a room, which they thought they were able to do and apparently discovered otherwise. And I'm here for support, and I would appreciate it if they could get what they want. I've been living here for over 17 years, and they are here recently from back east, and they're very happy here, but they need the space. And again, I support them.
Thank you.
Okay, and the last speaker is Esther Nguyen.
Hi, I'm Esther Nguyen. I the owner of 3391B. I sent out this letter to 11 board members, except one. Lynn doesn't have an email address, and Mr. Karimi and Ms. Makari, the email address published on the community area. It's been rejected. Say the address is no longer valid. So I just apologize, but you do see my letter. Right now, I know the patio cover is approved from the minutes. The ACSC committee suggested I have to change the roof. But at the same time, when we change it, I seek out to an attorney. He was pretty sure that if I have neighbors' consent and you don't ask for more area than what you had before. So from here, I have a 10 by 6 and 10 by 8 and small area of 18.75. So if you say you can build too small area, which is not very appealing to the neighborhood and HOA. So I'm asking whatever the original lot I have, if I add it up, is 158.75 square feet. Then if I can go to 11 deep, so that will be 14 inch. It's a very small area. But no one is going to approve or you build a too small 10 by 6 and 10 by 8. So I'm asking your mercy to say, give her this small area, which equivalent to the lot we originally had, which I didn't know until when I approved the permit. When I came, I never even pictured that is not my lot. This has been done 45 years ago. And they mentioned about there's no land agreement. But it doesn't prove there's none.
Esther, you only have 10 seconds left.
Okay, so I'm asking for your mercy to give me a small area, which is equivalent to my original lot.
Thank you, Esther. Steve? Okay, so basically, we're going to ask our first vice president, who is also in charge of this committee, to respond. or he might have some questions. But the thing is that we do not make a decision here. And we do have, it isn't up to the board to show mercy, because we have over 6,100 homes. And everybody wants an inch here and foot here, and we have to be very careful. We're bound by the rules which we put together to protect the fact that people we're taking, sometimes illegally, common area. But go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, we've looked at it, and there's a couple things that come to play here. It's based on our policy, and that's like-for-like replacement, and then previously extended common area that was granted earlier. And our policy has existed that if something has previously been extended, that's the only thing that you can do. You can do like for like, but you can't add any other improvements. And we can look at this in light of, instead of a built-out room, maybe look at a sunroom type concept or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll be looking at that, and then we'll let you know.
Thank you so much.
So our staff is available to try to work with you, to try to achieve what you would like, as long as it is within the guidelines and the rules of the community. I don't think that your attorney maybe understood the rules, and the thing is it will be your choice if you want to get your attorney involved, but I could advise you in advance, if you want to get your attorney involved, then we have to get our attorney involved, which, if that happens, then that could increase the costs. So we should see if you could work with our staff and try to figure out what we could do.
Yeah, no, I'm just asking.
Right, okay. So you'll work with our staff and we could see what we could do, all right? So for now, we still have to deny it. But, and so now,
Yes.
all right, Siobhan, you're going to tell me, we're going to deny this, but it's being appealed? What do I'm going to?
Yes, I would think we would deny it, and then could then be appealed.
Okay, so that's what we have to do. It still has to stay as denied because we can't approve it, but we are going to note that it is being worked on. Or we could just say that we could hold off the denial for a month based on the so we could table it for a month. That's another way to do it. We learned this in Robert's Rules class. So we could table it, some of us learned it. So we could table it pending a decision. So can we?
And formulation of
Your new
other-
plans.
Yeah.
Okay, so we do have a motion on the floor. We have to amend the motion. Steve, could you amend the motion to table it?
Yeah, I amend the motion to table this item till next month pending board review and further recommendations.
Who I'll be working with.
Right here.
Okay, so we have a motion to table it until our next meeting. Do we have a second? Second. Thank you, Annie. Okay, so we have to vote on the amendment to the motion. All those in favor? We're doing it electronically. Keep your hands down. We don't want Cheryl to get upset.
Totally automatic.
Okay, so we have voted for the amendment to the motion. We have, okay, so now we have to go back to vote on the original motion,
Okay.
which is to, okay.
Okay. How do you state that? I make a motion that we table this item.
That was
till-
the amendment.
That was the amendment, but now it becomes a main motion.
Okay,
Okay. Table this item to next month pending board recommendations and review.
okay. I'll second it.
Discussion.
Any discussion, more discussion? Are we okay? All right, and we know that Steve will follow up on this. If anyone wants to work with Steve and give your input, feel free to. Okay. Do you have the information? Do you know how to contact? We have their information, don't we? Yes, okay, good. All right, so the next item on the agenda is item 11A, number 2, which is 3461C. And it's also it's a room extension on a previously extended common area. We need a motion.
I move that we deny this request.
So you move that we follow staff's recommendation.
Correct.
Do we have a second? Seconded by Reza. Okay, so now we're going to have discussion. We're not voting, we're having discussion. So does the board have anything they want to say, or otherwise, do we have someone here to speak to this? No? Okay. Well, then, we don't have anybody who wants to speak to it, so
I can
do we
give
have
kind of an
any?
overview.
What?
I
So
can give kind
Steve
of an
is going
overview.
to just give a little overview.
Okay, before the board meeting, I put some pictures in the staff report at the dais for each one of you. Please refer to that, and I'll just make a few comments. Mr. Siao, I think is how I pronounce it, wants to do a full construction of a room expansion into previously extended rear patio of his unit. The original rear patio slab was an L shape spanning the width 32 feet 6 inches and between 5 feet and 8 feet long. In 1990, the slab was extended via mutual consent by 3 feet in length for the remaining width of the slab, 66 square feet, in order to make it one solid rectangular shape. The slumpstone wall was then built with windscreens with a patio cover installed to enclose the patio that same year via mutual consent. 2017, a mutual consent was issued for demolition of the enclosure. And as of the time of the ACSC meeting, you can see where the back of the building had been torn down to the particle board. And the instructions by the ACSC board at that time was that that wall had to be protected until a plan was made for going forward for regular construction. The original design was on file for wood construction, which we've already said that you couldn't have wood on exterior surfaces. And the staff recommended denial of this. So I would ask you once again to go ahead and look at the pictures there to give you an overview. And here again, things were previously extended for the rear patio of this unit. So we have something that our rules say if you've had one extension, that's all you get. So I'll leave it at that for your discretion.
And you can't change the extension and do
Correct.
something else with it. Okay, so anyone have any questions? No? Okay, so all those in favor of denial?
We still have the other one up here. Oh, it is, yeah. We need the new one.
We need the new.
It
We need
should,
3461C.
it should be 3461C.
It is 3461.
Oh,
It's on there.
3461. Okay,
All
There
right,
you go.
thank you, Cheryl.
okay.
All right, so this has been denied. So the next item on the agenda as unfinished business is the motion to adopt a resolution. And Roy, you want to do this? one,
Sure.
please?
Yes, Madam President. This is a standard, a revision to an alteration standard that was put on 28-day review last month. It's been on 28-day review. What it does is simply to revise, it's revised to permit scalloped or decorative edges that were previously prohibited on roll-up shades, exterior roll-up shades, often referred to as sunscreens. This revision was approved by the Architecture Control and Standards Committee on April 22nd. And so I think you already moved approval. Have you moved approval? I move.
I turned it over to you.
Oh, thanks. Okay, so I will move approval of this revised standard.
And I will second it. So the primary thing about this, before we can have any other discussion, is this is not a new rule. We are not coming up with yet another new rule. What we're trying to do is take a rule that's in existence and make it
Updated.
more user-friendly or updated. So any questions? All right. All those in, you have a
discussion.
question? Oh, discussion, okay.
The board, or the committee looked at this, and they thought that there were new materials that would make things aesthetically acceptable, rather than just saying you can't have any scalloped edges at all. So that was the main thought process of this whole thing.
What is a scalloped edge for those people?
Like
Okay,
this.
I was just testing you. I know what it is.
Oh, you're out of order. Yes, Reza.
Are we leaving all those decisions to the staff, or how are we going to make those rulings?
What do you mean? I mean, it's approved now, so if somebody.
No, the
Okay.
approval, but the process itself. If somebody
Yes.
was asking for something, who makes those determination, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable?
That would go to the staff because we're updating a standard. And they are the first people to
But
accept or deny.
Are we providing a list of approvals that people go buy things, they don't buy things, and come back and say, I bought it, and you tell me now it's not acceptable?
Well, people need to come in beforehand and ask. They need to go to the
That's
alteration
what I'm
department
saying. Do
and
we
ask.
have a
The
list of-
alteration standards are on the internet. Anybody can look at them.
And in alterations.
And if you can't use the internet and you have a question, you could always go to, you go to staff.
As long as
Right.
people are clear of how
Right.
it works.
Right.
Because we don't want to deal with people go buying things and coming back and say, well, you
Absolutely.
didn't tell me.
The main thing, if you're thinking about doing anything to your place, interior or exterior, is to, I would suggest you come in and talk eyeball to eyeball to the people in alterations. They can walk you through the standards that have been approved. You can sit down with them and give them your concept, see if it's acceptable, and then proceed from there. But please do not just go out and buy something on your own and put it in. We've had cases where people have done that and they've had to remove it. And there's a fine to it as well as you could do damage to your unit.
Okay, so we have a motion, we talked about it, and this has already been notified, a notification in May, so it's been on for 28 days, and we didn't get any other comments. So all those in favor? Okay, so this motion passes. And now we're going to go to new business. So we have completed our unfinished business. New business are things that we want to introduce, and these are all things that per the new law are either on 28-day notification, or some things that have to do with committees and such don't require 28 days. So I'm going to turn the new business over to you, Roy.
Okay, thank you, Madam President. We have one resolution to be put on 28-day review. It is also a revised architectural standard, and it relates specifically to air conditioning units and heat pumps. The main points of this resolution are that removal of sleeves those are air conditioning unit sleeves in 3-story buildings is prohibited. Removal of sleeves in stucco walls of 1- and 2-story buildings shall be evaluated on a case-by-case basis, and a variance is required. And the third main point is that this revision was approved by the Architectural Control and Standards Committee on May 28th, and I move that we put this on 28-day review.
Is there a second? Okay, Reza seconds it. Okay, so that will go on 28-day review. But I did want to ask Lynn if you would talk to that about 3 stories, since you came off the Garden Villa Association. If you have any comments about removal or non-removal of the sleeves?
Well, I want to make sure when you get your approval in alterations to replace the heat pumps, that you do not, make sure that nobody can tell you that that sleeve needs to be removed in a 3-story building, because that's not the case. There's been some confusion over that in the past couple years. So the sleeve has to stay in place to hold the aesthetics of the building. There's nothing wrong with that sleeve, even if you're replacing your heat pump.
And this has been talked about, Stuart, is that correct? At the Gardenville Association meetings?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so that's some of the thought process that went into this. Okay, so we'll put that on 28-day review. Okay, item 12B.
12B, we need a motion to approve the revision of the Third Laguna Hills Mutual Communications Committee charter. This does not need to go on 28-day review. We can do it today. Basically, what we did to the old charter was to remove paragraph 3. Paragraph 3 called for the committee to review capital requirements, requests for capital equipment, programs, and projected revenues, and determine service levels related to public relations. We removed this because this is in fact a GRF Communications Committee responsibility, not a third committee. This request was approved by the third Communications Committee on June 5th. So I move that we approve this revision.
I second it.
Okay, Lynn seconds it. Okay, discussion? This is something we'll be voting on today, is it doesn't need to go on 28-day? Okay, John?
So when that all got discussed and approved in our communications, do we have any sort of process, or is it strictly our requirement to go to GRF to debate issues that relate to, you know, the expenses that were discussed in our prior charter?
Each board has 2 representatives on the GRF Communications Committee. And that would be the appropriate avenue to make our points known. And those points might not come from the Communications Committee. They may come from the Finance Committee. They may come from any one of our third committees. But we would funnel those through Lynn or through Annie, Director McCary and Director Jarrett. Yeah, that's the process.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, all in favor? We'll go to voting. And Rosemary's out of the office, out of the boardroom temporarily. Okay, this passes. Okay, moving right along here, committee reports. I'll turn it over to Director Pearlstone for the report of the Finance Committee.
All right, thank you, Director Parsons. We're going to spend a few minutes and review the financial information for third, and if you have a package and you want to follow along, we'll put the slides up, but you can also go to agenda item 13A1, page 1 of 8. So that may be an easier way to follow. On the first slide, it's kind of the big picture, where things stand as of the end of April. Those are the most recent statements we have from finance. And you can see that total assessment revenue is $10,742,000. There's a variety of sources of non-assessment revenue. We'll show you those in a minute. And that gives you your total revenue. Then the expenses that are related to all operations and reserves for the month. And you'll see the excess of revenue over expenses, the bottom line, if you will, at $2.5 million as of the end of April. Going on to slide 2, we break that out to let everybody become aware of operations, which is day-to-day things that aren't major repair projects that tend to go into reserves. And so you can see the associated assessment revenue, the related operations, $6.2 million. Non-assessment revenue, $615,000. That gives you your total revenue. The related expenses through April 30th of $6.2 million. And we had an operating surplus for April of $620,000.
Why is this different? I'm sorry, the numbers are different, that,
Oh, yeah, you're still showing March on the,
Yeah.
right, I mean, because I thought I was getting blind,
hence,
losing my mind.
hence
right?
the
Good,
reason
no.
to refer to your
Hence
package,
the-
where
but
we've
yeah,
got the
but hence
backup
the
plan for
reason
you.
that the residents at home
Yeah, that's not great.
don't have a packet.
Well,
So are we gonna have it?
are we going to be able to get that updated while we're talking here?
Just give, no, just,
Or should I
you
just?
could sing.
I could, actually.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
dear.
I think Siobhan wants to sing. No. Okay, are we gonna be able to get April up there?
Was the first slide correct, or was that March as well?
Now we're talking.
I
Okay.
just was
2.5
waiting for it to get better. Okay, here we
Take
go.
two.
All right, take two.
All right, let's
All right.
start it again.
Do you want to start again?
I need
Yeah,
the reps
think-
anyway.
I
I'll
think-
breeze through it, but get us, everybody who's watching at home,
Well, they
clear on
never
what they're
know.
looking at.
Yes,
Let's go
and-
back to slide 1. And this is the big picture with all
As
funds
of the end of
included.
April.
As of the end of April. And you can see we have total assessment revenue, the monthly assessments of 10.7 million. Non-assessment revenue from a variety of sources, 800,000 or so.
And this is year-to-date, or,
No, this would be literally as of April 30th, so just in the,
so, but it's, so
The-
it's year-to-date. It's not just for the month, yes. It's
correct.
year-to-date,
Right,
okay.
year-to-date totals, right. So 10,700,000, 800,000 of non-assessment revenue. Add that together, you get total revenue, then you can see the related expenses for the month, or up through April, sorry, my apologies. Gives you your excess of revenue over expense of 2.5 million. On to slide 2 for a recap. This breaks out operations versus the big, projects that tend to go into reserves. And you're looking at 6.2 million of assessment revenue through April 30th. Non-assessment revenue, 615,000. Again, added together gives you a total. The expenses related were 6.2 million. Bottom line, operating surplus through April 30th of 620,000. So hopefully that gets everybody caught up who did not see those slides before. And we'll move on to slide 3, which is a good, important comparison to say, how are we doing compared to what we thought we'd do as we put a budget together last year. And same columns, these are total, both reserve and operations. 10.7 million is the assessment revenue, which is right on budget. Non-assessment revenue, we're a little higher. It's explained down below. I'll talk about it in a minute. And so our total revenue is, again, a little higher than what we budgeted, which is a good thing. Total expenses are a little lower at 9 million versus 11 million in the budget, which is also a good thing, but there's some things you'll want to know about that. We'll talk about it in the upcoming slides. And you can see the excess revenue of 2.5 million, which is what we said for the total operations and reserves, versus a budget which is spread evenly over the year. So that's why it comes out a little different. We're seeing revenue show up in different timing, but bottom line budget was projected to be a little below, like a net negative of 49,000. So the variance is quite high. We have a big excess over our budget, which is a good, healthy sign because it's what we, kind of want to make sure we have as expenses pick up later in the year. So let's take a look at slide 4, and you'll see how it all breaks down. Outside services is the biggest difference in the budget, and that'll help you understand everything you've looked at so far because our projects tend to be, we had the rainy season, and a lot of big projects are just picking up moving into the rest of the year. So there's a big excess of the first 4 months through April 30th that a lot of that will get used up as the year goes on. So keep an eye on that as we report in future months, and you'll see, hopefully we'll manage that well and keep an excess, but a lot of that is going to get caught up as projects pick up. Non-assessment revenue is kind of the same story. Utilities and telephone, that is a positive because for a lot of good reasons, our water usage is down, meaning the communications that our people are sharing to the community. People are aware now that water is becoming extraordinarily expensive, and we want to do all we can to conserve, and that's paying off. And then employee compensation related had a couple differences in staffing, and that gave us a little excess up through April. And the bottom one on slide 4 shows we're having uncollectible accounts is a little bit negative. That's some resident issues that are being worked through, and it's just more of an accounting thing than anything. But we're working through that, and right now it's a little bit of a negative.
So can I ask you some questions, just for the residents' point of view? A typical outside service that isn't done yet would be roofing, and what else haven't we worked on?
Right, there's a lot of services that we use outside help for, and I believe the dry rot may have involvement on something
Okay,
like
all
that,
right.
which is a large amount of, the plumbing, I know, the
Right.
sewer line remediation is a huge project we have going, we use outside services. So that adds up, and again, those people will be showing up to do a lot more work as the months go forward here, and that'll help explain that.
And the change in non-assessment revenue is primarily because we added chargeable services this year. Isn't that, and we didn't budget it because we didn't have it.
That's
Is that
correct.
one of them?
Something that we try to make sure all the residents are aware of is that you can access chargeable services for various things you might need. And The report from finance, I guess I'll go ahead and read that because it might explain it even better than I could, just rambling on about it. Let's see, which one was that again? It's the non-assessment revenue. Due to chargeable services to residents, resulted in more revenue received, primarily for water heater replacement, which is an expanded service. So there's a checklist, which you might, if you're interested to know what chargeable services are available, if you have a repair need or what have you in your unit. We do offer chargeable services, been very well received, and it is providing an excess of revenue for our entire community while offering a good service for residents. That's been a good positive.
So what we're trying to do, and I'm doing a plug now for M&C, is instead of you, and we really worked on this, instead of you having to go outside and call an outside plumber, you can call one of our plumbers. So generally, the price is usually better. We don't overcharge so that we're trying to make money off of it, but we try to make sure that we charge enough to cover the staffing. And it's being and our head of M&C is doing a really good job with training the people so that when the people go out, they're doing a good job. And if anybody wants a list of chargeable services, they could get that online.
Yeah, it's online.
Or they could also come to the front, I think the front desk has it also. Well, they can't. Alterations has it. So you can go to the front desk, you can go to alterations, or you can go online. I'm sorry, but I like for people to understand.
I think it's a great
Thank you.
plug. Very nicely
A
done.
plug, he called it a plug.
All right, let's jump over. I think we're going to be on slide 5, which is the pie chart. And this helps you understand the sources of non-assessment revenues, primarily the fees and charges to residents. Again, that would be the chargeable services is one of the examples, a variety of other fees. And then another big item this year, which is good financial management so far, is 25% of our non-assessment revenue is interest income. So that explains the vast bulk of our non-assessment revenues. You can review the additional other ones if any questions. Certainly happy to try to field them. Moving to the next slide, we talk about breakdown of our expenses. So you can see where the money's going. Most of it is going, the bulk of it in terms of largest amount is employee compensation and related expenses to the employees. So that is almost half, and that's trying to translate into improved service for our residents. And then 17% is outside services, and we've already made it clear that number is likely to go up, so we're keeping an eye on it, make sure it's well managed. And you can take a second and scan over the other additional expenses. They tend to break down kind of small, which is good. Try to manage those miscellaneous expenses, keep them low. And moving on to slide 7, this is a good situation to be in this point of the year. We're trying to show you where our operating fund balances are, essentially our reserve balances. And you can see that we have another net increase through April. So the original balance was, from the beginning of the year, was $29,261,000. So far, there's been contribution and interest of $4.688 million, expenditures $2.736 million, and so we are sitting with $31,213,000 in our operating fund balances. Graphically, on the next slide, you can see how it's broken out. And what catches my eye about it, and I think it's the important thing, is just to see that we've been able to build reserve funds, build finances. It's as strong as it's been in the last 5 years. Keeping in mind as future months come in, so I don't get blamed. There's a lot of expenses coming up, and those funds will tend to go down while we take care of operations and reserves. But for this time of the year, this is the place to be, and it's looking like we're achieving our objectives for 2019 so far.
We should take the Garden Villa Rec Room Fund off of there, because we have this little red thing, and there's nothing red.
Well, interestingly, if you
Because it's so
enlarge that,
small,
there's a
you can't
small
see
little
it.
red line, exactly. So,
Well, I mean, you can't, I can't say, the thing is the Garden and Rec Room Fund, I don't know if it has to be on, I guess it does, but
Yeah,
the
it's a
thing
re-
is
it's a
that's
reserve
a
fund.
fund that only the residents of the Garden Villas contribute to, and they more or less control how it's spent
Right.
also.
so you can, at least it begs the point, you can see what the key
Well,
is. The
I
Garden
can't-
Villa Rec Room, the unappropriated expenses are purple. The disaster fund, which is nice to have, a good reserve for that, set up in green, and then the various replacement funds, which are our reserve projects, are in the blue at the bottom. So we'll discuss that small line at the top. That's what we want to do.
I can.
All right, I'm going to jump ahead and let that issue lie for a month, and we'll talk about the resale history, and that's graphically illustrated on the final slide, which I don't see
Where I
on the
don't
TV
see it.
screen.
Do
I'm
we
seeing
have
me.
it?
Do I have to hold it up? Not going to help.
You hold it
Okay.
up. Oh, that'll work.
I didn't think so. So you can see this shows a history of resale units within Third. And in the month of April, we saw a fairly sharp reduction. And so that leads me to today's pro tip. Because we do have some updated information that's already in your package, you might want to take a look at it. Just if you're interested in tracking the, the resales and the pricing of our properties, which many are, on agenda item 13A3, page 1 of 8, the Finance Committee gets information ahead of the board meetings, because it's just a timing thing. We can't present the most current stuff all the time. But the May resales are noted on that page in your packet. I will report that for those watching on TV, that the month of May showed a good increase in sales for Third. It went up from 25 to 36. So it was a blip, maybe rains, maybe some challenging closes, who knows what. But right now, things are looking very solid in real estate compared to the community and the surrounding areas, and that's always a good sign. Our average home price is slightly up for the year, so also signs of good health. A couple other points to wrap up finances report for you. The next meeting of the Finance Committee will be here in the boardroom, July 2nd, 1:30, again here in the boardroom. And then what we're spending most of our time on now is budget for next year. And for those who haven't been involved, this is my first year, it is extraordinarily comprehensive and intensive, and you can be involved. You can, attend these meetings and share your input, and believe me, we're listening. So there's a meeting that reviews the latest updates on the business plan, Friday, July 12th, 9:30 a.m., and it's not noted here, but yeah, it is, in the boardroom. That's also in the boardroom. So Friday, July 12th, 9:30 a.m., you'll see what the game plan looks like for next year, and any thoughts or feedback, we certainly are open to hearing it. And that concludes the finance report.
And we must say that this board is very involved in the budget process. Every board member doesn't, not only your committee, because it's important, so you have a good understanding. We have like a pre-budget meeting, and then a budget meeting, and then a post-budget meeting. And so this board is probably, and on our own, we don't necessarily have some of them with staff. We just have them where we're going over them, and people are invited to attend those too, because they're noted. Because we want to, and then we work with our CEO, who will come up with good recommendations. Should we do this or should we not do this? So we do encourage you to attend. So thank you. And thank you very much, John. This is your second report as our treasurer, and you look much older.
Give me a few more months.
I'll give
Don't
you
know what I'll
another
look
year
like.
and you're in.
Next month, there'll be gray hair.
Right, all right.
Yeah, he's having to color his
So,
hair.
because everybody said, is he old enough to live here? And we're working on it. So the next item on the agenda is the report of the Architectural Controls Committee. Steve?
Okay, you've already heard us talk about the air conditioning units and heat pumps standard, which we went through and approved. There was another standard that came to us on patio enclosures, Review Standard 38. The ACSC committee went through this. We had some questions that we needed answered, because one size doesn't fit all in some of these things on patio enclosures. So we've sent it back to staff to either redefine or things more clear about what's in here. So we will be looking at the next meeting. So we only have, I think there's 5 standards left out of those that have been generated over the years we have to update. So we're coming along with it.
Okay. We're looking forward to when that meeting is every other month.
Yes.
So is staff. Okay. Report of the Communications Committee. Our new Communications Chair, Director McCary. Hi.
The Communications Committee.
Is your mic on?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
Your voice sounds different, though.
So the committee did meet on June 17th, which actually was yesterday, and there was a monthly report on the.
No, that's the GRF committee. You have to report on our committee.
Oh, our committee?
Yes,
You were there.
you were there. We just met about it yesterday.
We just met about it yesterday.
And our meeting was, I'm going to fill in for her because this is her
Fill in the
first meeting.
blanks because-
Our first meeting was on June 5th.
June 5th.
5th.
Okay.
And what we did at the meeting is Roy moved to second in command and Annie took over. And we decided that we wanted to, it was very important, it was suggested that third might no longer have a communications committee because GRF wanted to have their communications committee. And we said, no, communications is something that is very important to third and we're not giving it up. But we want to be very cooperative with staff, so we're going to have our meeting quarterly instead of monthly or bi-monthly, quarterly, where Annie is going to work with Roy and work with the team, and I offered to be an advisor on this committee when I'm off the board in October. And we're actually working on a calendar of important things that we have to work on. So like the first thing that Annie's working on is the election. The second thing that Annie's going to work on is our year-end meeting. But we're going to make sure that she has a calendar so that we stay on focus, as well as other things that we have to communicate to the community about. And in addition to that, we have the Breeze, which she will be working on with Roy. And we always want to work with the residents because that always comes up as an issue, you know, like you have to, so we think it's really important and we worked with staff. So our next meeting for this is?
July 10th.
July 10th at 1:30 p.m. in the boardroom. So I hate to take away from your thunder, but I wanted, are you okay?
I'm good. Thank
Okay.
you.
And-
You said
and-
exactly every point I was going to make, you made. So, thank you.
So, and honestly, yesterday we sat down and we said, okay, let's not pay attention to anything except getting this event, you know, the event for next week for the possible candidates. Let's work on that. And then I think on this week, we're also going to work on the new board member orientation. So, so she's very busy, and we're very excited to have her because she's going to do a really good job. Not that you did a bad job, Roy, but
We're putting him out to pasture.
That last comment is correct.
no, no, but Roy is very busy, so it's good. So it's really great. And so, did you want to ask us about something else?
No, I just wanted to mention that Director Jarrett is also on the Communications Committee.
Okay. Though there was something else we wanted to mention, and that is that Annie is working on getting a list of all of the things that we think are important for our year-end presentation, which happens on October 3rd. So we've already started on a list of things that, you know, slides that we want to have. And we want, like the cul-de-sac signs and the lighting and the changes in Roundup and the waistline things. So, Annie, if you have anything that you've been working on that you say this is parking spaces, that you want to make sure that Annie has on the list so that our presentation is really good, because last year it was really good. Eileen did a fabulous job, so we want to make it better.
And I was just going to comment that I will be working with Eileen to make sure we get a composite of all the highlights. And for the directors, if you have some stuff like Rosemary said that you are working on, you can either email me those or put a note in my box upstairs.
Because Eileen said she wants to know as soon as possible so she could run out and take pictures. So like the Shepherd's Crook is another thing. So whatever you could think of, then Annie isn't going to have to go take the pictures. But she could direct it.
I could.
So thank you very much. Next month, I'm not going to say a word. Yeah, right, yeah, right. Okay, in any case, report of the Maintenance and Construction Committee. I'm reporting for for Kush Bada, who's on vacation, though really Bunny is going to do all the work. But the thing is we didn't have a meeting in the month of June, but we will be having our meeting on July 1st at 1 PM in the boardroom. And one of the biggest things that we're looking forward to is getting information from staff on the street lighting project. And Ernesto said it should be coming out very soon, because this is where we have purchased the street light poles, and we did a pilot, and the pilot wasn't as successful as we wanted it to be. So we asked our CEO to get involved with it with staff, and they're doing a new pilot. And once we get that information, we'll work it through our communications department, you too, Annie, and we'll get it out so people could give in their comments. So we're looking forward to that. And that's one of the biggest things, but you're welcome to come to our meeting on July 1st. And if you have any other concerns, contact Bunny. Okay, so the next is the Parking and Golf Courts Cart Task Force.
Well,
Great.
there were,
Wait, Bunny had something to say.
there were other things. One was, we awarded the contract for the Shepherd's Crook installation for Gate 11. We also decided that we would keep looking in regards to the breezeway in the four-story buildings, three-story buildings, I'm sorry. We had voted to go ahead with that project, but there was a lot of residents that felt that we should look further and find other materials that might be acceptable for that particular project. So that's all I have to say.
Yeah, that was a really good point, because,
Yeah.
we really do encourage the residents to give us their feedback. So, we know that we have to do things, some things we have to do, like, line the copper pipes, we have to do extermination. There's some things that the residents might not love, but those have to do with maintenance. But when we're doing something with aesthetics, we really want your, you want your input. And there was a lot of input on that particular project. So we did decide to wait. So what they're going to do now is they're just going to keep repairing.
Right, replacing.
Replacing. But the one thing that they're doing is when they're replacing, they're making sure that they check the drainage and dry rot and things.
Well, the other thing too was the planters.
Right.
Because we wanted them to, staff to get on a schedule to actually check out the planters.
Right.
To make sure that there's no leakage.
Yeah, so that's another part of it that is, yeah, and the dry rot. So that's important. So that has been added to the scope of work on a continual basis. And meanwhile, we're still looking for something, but we've been looking for like 8 years. So
I know.
So,
But you
but we'll
never
keep
know
looking.
in the
Okay, so, so now, Steve, it's yours.
Great. This month I have something to talk to you about. We've kicked off our task force meeting recently, and we're concentrating on the wedding cake area between gates 5 and 6. We have 3 directors that are on this task force and 5 people who live in that area. And we had a meeting. We determined what the most important needs were. We prioritized them. And one of the things that we're doing right now is the 5 people that live in that area are taking a survey of the area to see if we can put in or identify places where you can put in more golf cart, actually there aren't any, golf cart parking and more car parking. Because it seems to be that the time of day when you have to go looking for a spot is after 5 o'clock at night, but there could be some other times also. So they're out looking. Staff has also had a person that's been out for a few months that's been looking and identifying places where we can put in additional parking spots. At our next meeting, which is July 9th at 10 a.m., we're going to take the staff recommendations for additional parking, and the people from the wedding cake area, we're going to merge those and see if we can come up with some commonalities of being able to put in more parking spots, both for golf carts and for vehicles. One other thing we're looking at, and it'll be coming down the road, is we're probably going to have to come up with a policy on oversized vehicles. In some areas, you can hardly pass by because a big vehicle is either parked alongside the curb or is jutting out from the building that they have a slot for. So that's something that's coming from down the road. But we plan on moving on this. There is a little bit of money this year that we can put in additional golf cart parking spots, but we have to go through the process of merging our two ideas, one from the residents, the list from there, and also the list from Ernesto's area, maintenance construction. From there, we'll come together and talk with residents more and get everybody on board. Unbeknownst to us, the people who were on the task force from the wedding cake area are super excited about this. So they're out gathering information and talking to people about this as well. So that's what we're up to right now. More to follow as we get farther into this. So that's it.
You know, the thought of oversized vehicles, looking at that is really a great idea, because last night I was walking with Wei Ming and to get our exercise, and there was somebody, and you know, we checked, they had, it was, I don't know if, it was some kind of rented truck, so they had the overnight pass in it and everything, so that part was, but it was really sticking out. You know, it was like a small truck, but it was really sticking out, and it was, there was parking across from it. So, you know, the thought of people banging into one another, it really is, it
Well, the
is
possibility
challenging.
exists in some areas because what you've got is there's not a standard width of a cul-de-sac as it goes around the wedding cake. There's different rings around there. And in some spots, it'll be narrower than others. So we've got to look at that and take that into consideration as well. And the possibility exists that if a big vehicle is parked on the curb, the person who's parked in a stall cannot get out. The possibility exists. So that's why, what's driving this whole situation.
So you're going to have to put signs up, no oversized vehicle. I'm
Very
kidding.
possible.
We certainly.
More to follow.
Okay, all right, good. Okay, something came up the other day, and I think that we have to let people know about it again, and this is from your architecture area, is we do have very strict rules as it relates to pods. And I think that possibly we should ask Eileen to republish this in a newsletter, in a Breeze article. I don't see anybody writing this down. But, no, but I mean, the thing is I saw a pod for like a long time, and I don't even remember how long a pod could be parked. But, and once I saw a pod on the grass. So that's something that and I know that your committee put together rules regarding this, but I think it might be a good reminder. So, okay, so the next is Lynn, the report of the Landscape Committee.
Good morning. There's a lot going on in landscaping, but first of all, I want to talk to you about the budget. We all have spent a lot of time on the landscape budget. We're not quite finished yet. A lot of modules are included, including slope work, tree maintenance and slope work, two of the biggest items. Turf maintenance, shrub bed maintenance, irrigation, and much more. But the work on the budget from last year, we still don't have the contracts done and submitted and approved yet for a lot of the work that has to be done this year. And that's the kind of way it works every year from year to year. The things that got approved last year they're already working on some of the stuff, but some contracts have to be taken care of first. One of the biggest ones we have in the works right now is the slope contract for slope maintenance. So that's in the mill, and we hope to get that approved real soon, maybe today. And they're going to get a lot of work done. They're going to contract some of it out. The other thing is the the turf modernization plan We have a project that we're proposing, but it's not, it's only in the works right now. It's been in the works for quite a while. But we're getting to the place where we're making a decision soon as to whether we're going to have this pilot project where we remove the grass, put in drought-tolerant plants, and make a beautiful little park-like setting in this one particular area. It'll be a showpiece if we do it, and people, I think, will really like it. But it's still in process, and we wait and see if we're going to get that approved. I want to talk to you about the landscape meetings that we have monthly on the first Thursday of the month. Somebody on the board asked me, why do you have to meet every month? And I'll tell you, because we try to keep our meetings to a minimum because we have so many meetings. But a lot of people attend the landscape meetings, so we don't want to put them off to bi-monthly. A lot of people come, there's a lot of interest. And this past meeting we had, there were so many questions that came up. And when Kurt, the staff, Kurt Weeman, came back with the answers, it was really an educational process for the whole room, for everybody in the boardroom that was here. So anyway, a lot going on. One of the things that came up and comes up quite often is the yellow stake program. Why did we get rid of the yellow stake program? Well, one of the reasons people don't realize is we're trying to save water for now and in the future. And that's one of the reasons we got rid of the yellow stake program. Another is because people were getting approved over the years for all these many fruit trees that we have that they purchased and planted and took care of. Well, what happens when they moved out and they die and whatever? Nobody's there to take care of those fruit trees anymore. And they also, the fruit that falls creates a rodent problem. So it's really a big problem. Another thing that we'll be doing soon is the aeration project, and you won't be able to see any results of that until next year, where we take the thatch out, remove the thatch, and get it replanted and seeded and all that. So it's really going to be nice. You'll see the results next year. Another thing the landscape committee is working on is the landscape manual. There is a landscape maintenance manual, and it's been in process over the years. And we're working together. We have another meeting scheduled here soon to bring forth any resolutions that we need to make any possible changes. And we're helping Kurt with that because he's got his hands full. I want to tell you one of the things that, I'll just tell you that the next meeting is July the 8th. It won't be the 4th because that's July 4th, the holiday. So we're meeting on July the 8th instead. And from then on, it'll be first Thursday of the month. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lynn. The next is, yes, Steve has a question, Lynn.
Yeah, we had
Get
talked
ready.
about in the past about getting copies of the leak report. Do we have any success on that?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Which leak report is this? The maintenance leak
From the
report?
water.
A water leak
Yeah,
report.
like James Tongue used to get.
The last water report I saw said there were no Tier 4 water usage in the irrigation bill. So that means that there's probably no leaks.
What about residential though?
No, residential?
Okay.
No, it's not okay. We need to discuss that.
Okay.
It's okay, thank you.
An interesting thing came up the other day. I saw a resident talking to another resident about, who's a good gardener. And I know that some of the residents have their own gardeners. And I think that because they want whatever they want to, I don't know if a lot of people who have their own gardeners are usually people who live in the house, whether it's an attached or non-attached house. And I think that that's something that we have to put on an agenda for the future, because I think that we should know about it. I don't know how, so I'm not saying that it's something that you have to do right away. I think we have to involve staff in this, because some of the gardeners try to override or do whatever they can to our watering system. And that's a big problem. So we certainly wouldn't say, well, if you own a house or a place in here where you have your own garden and you want a we because our gardeners don't do, just maintenance isn't enough. I don't think that we should say, no, you can't, but we should know, I don't know what the right way to do this. We should know probably if somebody has a gardener, or we should make sure that the gardener gets a good understanding of what the rules are. So that's something that we should put on a list of things that we want to work on.
It could be in the manual.
And whatever comes first. So, that was a joke. All right, so in any case, the next is a report from Dr. Karimi. What? I don't know, I guess you went up there. Dr. Karimi on the Water Subcommittee, which was an excellent meeting.
Thank you, Madam President. The Water Subcommittee.
Is your mic on?
Yeah, it's on. But my voice.
Following Annie.
I learned. The Water Subcommittee met on June 12th. I was appointed or volunteered as the chair of the subcommittee. We decided to keep it at the subcommittee level. During the meeting, we discussed the charter for the subcommittee, and that is in progress with the help of Mr. Steve Parson. We're going to have the charter finalized for our next meeting, hopefully. Some of the initial goals that we discussed for these subcommittees are, like promoting and educating the Laguna Wood Village member on water conservation, pretty much start a direct face-to-face communication with the El Toro Water to exchange information, stay in tune with existing and new water regulation and policies through the states and for the local, and also evaluate and study water usage in the community as a whole, that how we're using water, were we using potable water versus the recycled water, etc. We decided to meet every quarter, the second Wednesday of every quarter. Our next meeting is scheduled for July 10 at 10 a.m. in Sycamore Room. The members of the committee are Ms. Lynn Jarrett, Mr. John Frankel, Mr. Kushbada, myself, and I assigned Mr. Steve Parson as advisor to our group because we need his help as advisor. I'm sorry, but we need advisor for the group also.
Surprise, surprise. Turnabout's fair play.
And Catherine Francis said she did.
And
volunteers
Catherine
me.
Freshley said that she would work with us as an advisor.
A what?
Catherine Freshley.
Oh, Catherine,
said
yeah, we're
that
working
she
on that.
would
I
work-
didn't want to mention that until we make sure
Yes,
we
she
confirm
supposedly
that,
confirmed it
she
with
confirms
Steve.
that she's available. That's great. She is on the board of El Toro Water, and she can bring a lot of information to the committee and for the exchange of information.
The way you subdivided the work that's going to be done was excellent. I think it was great. We already gave Annie a copy of the great report that we got from the Water Department, and thank you, John Frankel, for giving us your copy to copy. And then we also gave Annie a copy of the one article that has been in the newsletter, in the Breeze. And we're going to try to put a reminder of some type, probably every issue, of either something new that we're going to come up with or something that we have to remind residents of, because when we think of water, we think, oh, watering plants or this or that. But, when we have leaks, that uses a lot of water. And we have a tremendous number of leaks from people's ice makers. And so we're going to do something about that, because part of our chargeable services is if you want your ice maker line replaced, we can do it. And there are some better lines than others. And I was surprised, because all of our leaks used to be water heaters, and then it was like all ice makers. So those are the two big culprits, and that not only costs the resident a lot of money because of the water damage, but it wastes a lot of water, which we, the community as a whole, pay for. Individuals don't pay for the water. So we're going to try to pay attention to that too, in addition to all of the other great things that you came up with.
Yeah, those are the, issues that we can use to with the education side, because just water leak, if it goes unattended, it can cause health hazards for the
Right.
mildews and cause problem in the house, because some of them are in the areas that you might not see for a while before it's
Right.
really the true damage is done. But those are things that we need the involvement of the members to pay attention to those things, and we have to promote those ideas so people look around, make sure that things are working properly. But, we cannot go inside people's houses and see if things are leaking, but they need to be aware of those possibilities and the impact on their own health and safety too. So
Right,
we can
excellent.
promote those
And when I think we picked the same day to have the water subcommittee in the morning and the communications committee in the afternoon. So so just for the board, if anybody wanted to be involved in both of those, they could. But we will remind people of the dates of your next water subcommittee meeting in case the residents want to go and bring any idea. Okay.
announced it as July 10th.
Right, but it goes out in all of the lists, so thank you very much. The report of the Resident Policy and Compliance Task Force, Director Burninghouse.
Thank you, Madam President. The task force met on June 12th. We started our discussions on cleanup to the leasing policy that we approved here at the board level last month. And we also started discussions on the co-occupancy issues that we heard at the board meeting last month. We did not come to any final conclusions about either one of these issues, and we're going to continue to talk about them at our next meeting, which is July 24th at 2 p.m. here in the boardroom. We did establish a small study group on co-occupancy. What we're trying to do there is to make sure that the application package, which is basically the main communications between the board and the residents, reflects accurately our governing documents. And what we discovered already is that there are some discrepancies as well as some omissions. So we're going to work on that, try to get that put together and back to the task force on the 24th. Thank you.
So thank you very much. So now we're going to go over the GRF committee highlights. Annie, this is going to be your chance when we get up to communication. But please only report if a meeting occurred and you have something to report, because we want to be finished by 11:30. I'm kidding, 14 minutes. All right. So community activity committees, Director Pearlstone.
Should we bundle A and B or take them one at a time? Same answer. The CAC committee did not meet. It will meet next month, July 11th, 1:30 p.m. in the boardroom.
Okay, Finance
Okay,
Committee.
Finance Committee, same story, did not meet in the month of June. I'm sorry, it's meeting tomorrow. So that's how we'll handle that one, is we will have a report for you next month because it's not meeting until tomorrow.
And it meets at 1:30 in the boardroom.
Meets at 1:30 in the
Okay.
boardroom.
Landscape Committee, the Director Jarrett.
Yes, there was no meeting in June. In fact, we decided, it's been decided we're going to have quarterly meetings for the GRF Landscape Committee, and the next meeting will be August the 14th.
Okay. Maintenance and Construction, Director Frankel.
There really wasn't anything in great significance, but Ernesto went over the project log in great detail. I left early, so I didn't stay for the entire meeting. I had a doctor's appointment. And that's all I had to report.
Okay, thank you. Energy Task Force, Director Frankel. Oh, we had none, right? No meeting.
I do have a comment. The consultant report will be July 3rd for the energy consultant, and that's a very, very important presentation, and for any of you who are interested. One other item I'll just mention, the title of the chairman was discussed. I won't go any further on that unless somebody else wants to comment on it.
No, that's fine. Okay, now Director McCary.
So, as I said earlier, there was a meeting on June 17th. Some of the highlights of that was a monthly report on the TV contracts and internet subscriber services. So there was a revision in the policy in terms of past due amounts. There is going to be a fee now for any past due accounts up to $10. They also are issuing a 30-day notice for any past due accounts. I think before it was a 60-day notice, so now they've decreased that to 30-day notice. Also, and that late fee will be $10. There also will be some equipment rental requirements with this new service, so boxes.
Oh, they're going to be deposits?
There'll
Well,
be deposits.
that's good, because we had brought that up as a concern. That's excellent. And is that it?
That's it.
Okay. Wait, Director Burninghouse has something.
Yeah, I can put that on my list, Annie, I'm sorry. But the other thing they did yesterday, and this is important for the residents to know, is to approve and recommend the removal of 2 Fox Sports channels. And that's going to go to the GRF board at their next meeting for final approval. So if you have thoughts and comments on that, you might want to check the calendar and make sure you have your ideas together and make your points known. The reason for that removal is that those 2, Fox is going to charge us a 25% increase in the fee that we have to pay for that programming. The first Fox channel, of course, is your Angels channel, and during the year, the other, West Coast sports. And then the second Fox channel, these are 428 and 429 in your HD lineup. The second channel gives you local sports, not just from this area, but from around the country. But you're looking at a savings of $1.8 million by canceling these 2, per year of canceling these 2 channels, which is why those people that watch the bottom line on the board are excited. But those of us who are sports fans are not very happy about it. Now, there are alternatives, and we need to do a better job of getting the information out on the alternatives. Jeff and Siobhan, we can find those things on streaming, but we got to make some changes to the way we, in fact, allow streaming in the village to do that. So I just wanted to alert you to that. The other thing that the GRF Communications Committee approved yesterday were some minor fee increases to cover our costs. Our department is not just willy-nilly raising fees. They're raising fees, minor fees, to cover the costs that we're getting hit with, primarily by those people who sell us content, and also federal requirements for all the little taxes and all that stuff that goes into what happens when you try to access, the big internet cable stuff out there. So when you see that, don't get excited. They're no more than $5 here or $10 there, and there are very few of them. But people don't understand. They think they get all this stuff for nothing just for their $19 that they find in their assessment, and it's not true. We do have costs. And so that's what that's all about. So when you see it, hear about it, hopefully you will all understand that we're not trying to make a profit. We're just trying to cover our costs. Thank you.
Well, the important thing, and I know we've worked very diligently with our executive staff on this, is if the user of something doesn't cover the cost, we still have to cover the cost, which means that everybody's assessment goes up. So what we're trying to do, and I know that our CEO is really trying to work on this, is that we have to try to figure out a way for the user to pay their share of the cost, pay all of the cost, pay a fair share of the cost. So I know he's working diligently on this. So sometimes it's really hard when you are looking at, for example, the recommendation on the Fox stations that we cancel that because of the tremendous amount that's being charged. Well, we spend, look at how much we spend on the buses, so we just, sometimes they just have to come up with the best recommendations for the best way for us to use our money so that things don't just go out of control, things spiral out of control with costs. So I know that our new CEO is really dedicated to this, and he's very diligent about it, and we're excited for his real concern to, so that we do have to have money to fix the community. This community for years wasn't, it was neglected. And since we've taken over the management, we've really been trying to work on the water lines and the waste lines and dry rot and so many things. I know Bunny has worked on these with us for years, and we're really trying to improve the condition of our homes and our stairs and the sidewalks and all that. So it's not an easy road. So I know that we're working very hard on it. And thank you very much, Roy. Mobility and Vehicles, Director Franklin?
Director Frankel.
Franklin. My God. I'm a Dr. Frank. All right, I'm just gonna call you Ben. I think I'm getting tired.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. We received the report from the consultant for the bus system. And optimization of the bus system is their charter, it's their scope of work, and it's an extremely important objective. They did come up with a unique concept, and I'll summarize it very quickly. We have the fixed schedule system and the planner ride, and to optimize the fixed schedule system, which right now is not very efficient and makes a lot of commercial stops. They're going to optimize the fixed schedule system by keeping it to a 30-minute turnaround with no commercial stops, and that will get people quickly to Clubhouse 1 or to any other particular spot that they want to on a regular basis. Then one bus will be doing the commercial stops, and it will operate efficiently, and that will allow folks who want to go to a commercial site an ability to get there and get back without taking a large portion of their day. So that's a terrific concept. We did not hear from them with regard to the cost for this, and whether or not would there be any change back to the 7-day-a-week schedule for the fixed ride system, for the fixed schedule system. And so there's more information yet to come on that.
Thank you very much. Okay, Security and Community Access, Director Parsons.
Right, we didn't meet in May. Next meeting will be June 24th, which is coming up next week, 1:30 PM in the boardroom.
Okay, and then it would be the same with disaster preparedness, is that correct? Yes?
So
July
the
30th.
Disaster Preparedness Committee did meet. So did you want am I giving?
They met when?
We met on May 20th, Tuesday.
May 28th,
May
okay.
28th.
And that is, yeah, so that, okay, and you want to tell us about it?
So there's an ongoing need for good neighbor captains. So the committee just really emphasized that we really do need some more neighborhood captains in the event that we do have an emergency, so that if there is an emergency, we can get to them a lot quicker. In addition, there's also going to be a Good Neighbor Captain barbecue on August 27th from 12 to 2 p.m. to celebrate the captains that we do have and try to recruit some more people for Good Neighbor Captains. We also discussed meals ready to eat, and so the committee is looking at having some of those available just to kind of sample and maybe put into some of the disaster backpacks. Because in the event that there is an emergency where we're loss of power or without food, the recommendation from FEMA is that we have a 7-day supply of food. The county recommends 3 to 5 days. So either way, there is a strong need to have meals ready to eat or some type of food available. So the committee is actually looking at having some of those little packages of meals ready to eat. And I believe, and there's ongoing CPR classes. The next CPR class is going to be July 13th. And that's the end of my report. Thank you.
Okay. Oh,
On the MREs, are they going to be sold out of the disaster preparedness office?
Yes, that's the plan. First of all, Chief Moy said they were going to get, because apparently there's 3 different types or 3 different varieties. So they're going to have some of those varieties, and we'll look at those at the next meeting. And so the hope is to have some of those available.
are you going to have a tasting? Oh, boy. Okay, so, and then again, Director McCary, are you going to report on the traffic hearings? Or is that Director Frankel?
Director McCary.
McCary, I guess you're just doing a lot of reporting
I
today.
guess I'm doing a lot of.
Oh, I don't think there's anything to report.
There's nothing really to report. The committee met, we heard the.
I made that up.
We heard, so there were no major policy changes or
Okay.
anything that is earth-shattering.
Okay, so we have some future agenda items which we don't have to go over, and now it would be time for director comments. But before we make the director comments, I would like to thank the 3 members of our VMS board for their work on behalf of Third and on behalf of VMS. So thank you very much. I see you all in the audience. So, all right, so thank you. So now we're going to go around the table for any director comments. I'm not going to start with you, Annie, because I don't want you to get exhausted. So I'll start over here. Cheryl, you have anything? Happy birthday, Cheryl. Okay,
Last Sunday.
last Sunday. All right, so Jeff? Siobhan? Lynn?
I want to quickly make a comment on the waistline remediation program. I had the I was able to go to a residents meeting. It was a briefing on how the waistline project was going to run in building 4002. That project is in process right now. But the residents briefing I went to really taught me a lot and showed me a lot about how the procedure, and they showed graphs and everything. So it was really wonderful. And it was too bad that it was very sparsely attended by the residents of that building so that they wouldn't know really what was going on. And I think a part of it's a language problem. But anyway, it was very informative.
Thank you. Director Brittinghouse?
I would also like to wish Cheryl a belated happy birthday and thank her for all the work that she does in preparing these board packets and the minutes. She does 99% of the work. I just review them and make sure that we don't say anything we shouldn't be saying, but she does the bulk of the work. Thank you, Cheryl.
No.
Director Parsons?
Yeah, I'd like to thank staff for working closely with us on executive hearing situations. Had some strange ones of recent, and we're ferreting them out and getting policies together. Thanks so much for working closely with us.
Bunny?
I pass.
John?
Happy birthday, Cheryl.
John?
Happy birthday.
Oh,
Happy birthday, Cheryl. But I have one comment.
Okay.
Since gate 1 was closed, I was forced to use gate 3 in order to get to Clubhouse 1. The gates have been remodeled with the arms. They have 3 entrances. I'm sure I'm not the only one talking about it. Probably a lot of people talked about it. The far right-hand side lane cut in front of in 2 other lanes if you go in. If the arms, the middle one and the last one comes up at the same time, there is a potential, a great potential for an accident. But the other issue is that nobody uses the right-hand side gate at all because everyone stays right in the middle, and there is a big line, and that line is because everyone's afraid going to the first and third line. My comment is that when we, did the remodeling, why we didn't think about the situation at that time, that we did some better planning for We are doing remodeling of other gates. Please, if there are situations similar to that, let's take that under consideration so we don't have to do things twice. That's just a comment I have. And I don't know what they're gonna do about that right-hand lane, which is pretty much useless.
The one thing that I have noticed, though, is it seems from going through them that they're going up better, because before, you would like almost be sitting there, so they must have adjusted that. You'd be sitting there saying, I wonder if the arm's gonna go up or not. But it's pretty, that part is smooth, so that has been approved, so we thank you for that. All right, Annie.
Happy birthday, Cheryl.
Oh, well, it's Wei Ming's birthday too, so happy birthday, Wei Ming.
Happy birthday, Wei Ming.
All right. Oh, wait a minute, I have to do something now. I have to say that this meeting is recessed for lunch and will reconvene in executive session. Thank you for coming.